In today's podcast, I'm asking for your help on my next book. Are you ready to hear what it's about? Welcome to the Intentional Success Podcast, where we unpack the top strategies, explore business trends, and drill down into best practices to help your live events production business grow and scale on purpose. I'm your host, Tom Stimson. Howdy, folks. I'd like to do a little crowdsourcing today. I always say that we are smarter together than as individuals. Every company I work with, every workshop I present, every introduction is an educational experience. You put a bunch of smart people in the room to work on a problem, then the output will be exponentially better than if you worked on it independently. So let's talk books, right? I need some help here. Let's think about the series. The first book in the series was Demand: How to Build a Smarter Sales Funnel So You Can Turn Down Better Business. Now, the subtitle really threw some folks off because, first of all, how can you turn down business? And why would you turn down better business? Well, the fact of the matter is you need to turn down business. There's always business you're going to turn down. Imagine you have three great opportunities, three great ideal clients, and you have three great projects and they're all at the same time and you only have room for one more. You're going to turn something down. The business you turn down is going to be better than the business you turned down before you had a smart sales funnel. Before a smart sales funnel, you had three opportunities. You took whatever you can get. You take the biggest revenue because that would help you most with your cash flow, or you take the one that might be most profitable. But that doesn't mean it was better business, right? So in Demand, which is a marketing book, it tells us how to build our sales funnel. In Demand, we learn that a sales funnel gets us to our ideal transaction. At the end of the day, we're going to do a deal, and we're hopefully going to do a deal with someone who will go from customer to client, and we'll do a deal with them forever. But how do you get clients? Well, you have to go look at the top of your funnel. And if the bottom of your funnel and the top of your funnel are the same size, if you're talking to five people hoping you'll get five jobs, you have no funnel. You have a pipe. And the chances, and actually you probably have an inverted funnel because you have way more capacity than you have opportunities coming through. But a smart sales funnel has a nice shape to it, right? You can see the top. You can see the top is full of leads, full of people that you want to do business with. We're trying to pull them down into the funnel so they become prospects and become opportunities, engage deeper and deeper with us until that time where they actually do have something that they need to talk about in terms of work. People at the top of the funnel don't want to talk about a project. Okay. They're learning, they're sampling, they're understanding, they're waiting till the time is right. How do we make sure they remember that you're the right folks to talk with? And that's what a smart sales funnel does. It keeps them engaged. It works while you're sleeping. It's the digital form of business development. And it works great with business development, which is also part of marketing, to make sure that we're moving the right opportunities down through that funnel. Now, this led us into, and Demand was actually the right book to have read and applied before the 2022 surge, because in 2022, you had to turn down a lot of business. And the companies that struggled most with profitability in 2022 didn't understand what was going on in their funnel. They took on business that was non-ideal because they were just so excited to see revenue. And they ended up doing non-ideal work for non-ideal gross profit while everybody else was turning down business and making incredible amounts of money. So sales funnels matter, marketing matters. Now, the second book in the series was Balance: How to Build a Scalable Business with Less Stress and More Profit. Well, we all like the idea of more profit. Not everybody believes it's possible. And remember, the first sale is always to yourself. You can be more profitable, right? Less stress. Guess what? If you have less stress in running your business, you're going to be more profitable. The two are directly correlated. So scalability means that you can do more business with the same amount of overhead, which means that you will make more money because the gross profit will drop to the bottom line, right? So scalability is our business goal. We want to be able to double our business without doubling our overhead, right? So in Balance, I talked about the selling, the planning, and the administration of a business and how they work together. I explained how the numbers worked to show you that a company that employs all the people they need to do execution and owns all the equipment they need to do execution and minimizes outsource just because they're trying to protect job cost is out of balance and is inherently unscalable. But your version of scalability will differ. And that's why the book is called Balance. There's a right level of balance of insourcing and outsourcing for each one of us. And so that's the operating system of our companies. Now, the third book I want to talk about today, the working title on this is Execution: How to Fulfill Your Promises Using a Balanced Business Model. Now, welcome to my think tank, right? Working title, Execution. The goal is to drill down into the work of selling, planning, and administration with the intent of delivering better outcomes. Execution is not about how to do shows. You already know how to do that, right? And what I know might make you a little bit better, but most of the success of execution on show site happens before we actually walk into the ballroom. And that's what this next book is about. We make a lot of promises along the way. We have this beautiful business model with the right people doing the right things to make sure that our execution can be as flawless as possible, that our customer needs and expectations are met. How do we get there? How does that company work so that the team that does the execution has everything they need to be successful with your client? Okay. This is not about how to do shows. This is how to set up your execution team for success. Now, it starts with a customer, right? Without a nothing, right? You can have zero assets, you can have no team, and just the knowledge in your head and the skills to pull it off, and you can serve your customer, right? But we need a second customer, and then we need a third customer, and we need the first one to come back again. And as one person, we run short on time. The third customer needs to talk now, while customer two is paying for your undivided attention on show site, and customer three thinks you forgot about them. What do? We hire somebody, right? This is what I call accidental entrepreneurship. There are three types of accidental entrepreneurs that I run into. The most common, and really, all these people are great. They're all fun to work with, but the most common is the freelancer with gear, right? You're a great freelance technician. You have a client who loves you. They want to work with you every time. And one day they say, hey, why don't you buy that LED wall? Because we'll use it all the next shows and then you can make more money. Of course, what they're really saying is they're going to get a better price because they know that you're having to two-step it for them, right? So that freelancer with gear, whatever their expertise is, they buy that gear. They buy their switcher, they buy a camera rig, they buy their own lighting console, right? And the freelancer with gear, in order to keep busy, needs more gear, and they need somebody to help them sell it. And they all of a sudden have a business built around them. The second type of accidental entrepreneur is the salesperson who's great at relationships, knows how to meet people, knows how to create opportunities and relationships, but now they need people and gear to execute the jobs that they've sold. And companies that grow around salespeople have a different personality because they need operational and execution people that will take care of those things so that they can focus on sales. Whereas the freelancer with gear is really focused on getting more of the right gear, looking at the tactical solutions, and then they have to get revenue in order to, make their loan payments and keep the gear busy and cover their overhead. Salespeople have to cover overhead too, but they may not understand that overhead as well. And then the third type of accidental entrepreneur that I see in our industry is the production manager. This is somebody who's technically and maybe design creative. They're great at finding the right people and gear. They're great at interpreting needs and developing an overall plan for a project. Production managers are a very high level skill, and they are very comfortable outsourcing everything, but sooner or later, they find that they want to build that business up around them, right? Now, if you're any one of these three kinds of accidental entrepreneurs, what is your differentiator, right? When these companies start out and as they grow, the differentiator rarely changes. The freelancer with gear, the differentiator is always going to be that person. It's going to be that technology person who understands how things work, who likes to get their hands on the gear, who can talk tech. They are the differentiator for their business. And if they don't have customers that appreciate that differentiation, they're not going to be in business. So they have to find customers that appreciate who they are and what they bring to the table. Now, the salesperson, again, their differentiator is themselves. Their ability to ask the right questions, to listen, develop relationships, create trust, right? Hold the client's hand, all those things, tweak the numbers, make the client think they're getting a great deal. They too become the differentiator. And then the production manager, they are also the differentiator because they're the knowledge base, they're the creative person. Every job has to have their fingers on it. And the problem with all three of these is that you have to have more of the founder in order to actually expand the company. So the three differentiators are themselves. And if that doesn't work, the differentiator becomes price. So if your personal differentiation is being a solo entrepreneur, the accidental entrepreneur, where you are the differentiator, when that fails, we always fall back on price. Now, what really differentiates you is the customer. How do you find more customers that want what you do? I like to say, find people who are buying what you are selling and just ignore the rest, right? And this is the essence of business strategy. Understand where you can make a difference. Then do the things that give you more of those opportunities. So, this book, Execution, will focus on working from the ideal outcome, which is a great show, and going backwards. If you can deliver nearly perfect execution, because there's no such thing as perfect execution, there's always little foibles and stuff. But if you can deliver nearly perfect execution, which means you've met the customer needs, their expectations, that you've stayed within the budget, you made it look painless because, again, there are imperfections that we can hide, we can gloss over, we can make go away easily. You've managed the scope creep. Scope creep is bad for you because it eats away at profits. It is bad for the customer because it makes it difficult for them to make decisive choices at the right time. The ability to creep the scope in the heat of the moment is bad for the show, therefore it's bad for the customer. So scope creep is always bad, right? And you have to make a good profit, right? If you can win praise and accolades for your work, even better, right? That's nearly perfect execution. What needs to happen first to get to that outcome of nearly perfect execution? Well, many of us think that if you build it, they will come, right? My question is always, who is they and what is it that you actually need to build? So I need to have people and equipment ready to do the show so I can go out and sell it. Okay, that's if you build it, they will come. I need to have my bench. I need to hire more salespeople so that I can sell more. All of these things are out of order, right? So what do you actually need to do? Now, this is what the book is really about, how to fulfill your promises using a balanced business model, right? We've talked about demand, we've talked about the balanced business model. Now, how do we run a business under that? How do we execute to get the ideal outcomes and the near perfect shows that we want to do? So picture demand as the funnel of opportunity pouring down onto your balanced business model. The bad opportunities are going to flow off. The good opportunities are sorted by better and best based on fit and profit, right? Is the client a good fit? Is the project a good fit? Is the profit there? These things I have to align to make it worth doing. Execution is why you get to keep the best fit clients and the highest margin projects, right? It's your execution. Execution happens before we walk into the ballroom. Everything else is going to go fine if you get the execution right. So all of these things work together intentionally, right? To execute from a position of scalable balance requires 3 core skills, right? Selling, planning, and administration. Now, you probably relate to the sales side or maybe to the ops side, or maybe you're a show person. Maybe you're the freelancer with gear and you relate to the delivery side. But in execution, administration is the infrastructure that allows selling and planning to flourish and grow scalably. Now, I'm getting to the questions that I have for you. This is where I need some help. A key chapter in this book will be about promises. Okay, promises that is, factual promises versus metaphorical promises. We make promises every day to our customers, to our employees, to our teammates, right, and to ourselves. My questions for you, and I have 3 of them. Number 1 is, what are the promises that are worth making, knowing that you have to keep them? And I'll give you an example. My old boss, a brilliant salesperson and very, very confident, but he had one underlying promise that every client heard and understood, which is, if you're not happy with the show, don't pay for it. Now, that scares the hell out of a lot of people. But the fact of the matter is, I applied that, he applied that, and I had only one client that ever said, well, I'm not happy with the show. And I said, fine, then you're not going to pay for it. So I'm not asking you to not charge me. I told you, if you're not happy, I won't charge you. And it wasn't a big show. It was $5,000. And the client was mostly at fault. Never mind all that. The fact is they weren't happy. Most people are terrified of that promise because the implication is they have to meet all the expectations. Well, wouldn't execution be a great book for that person to read? So what are the promises that you, in your business, in your vision, in your mission, you think are worth making, knowing that you have to keep them? Second question, what are some promises that you have made in the past that you wish you had not? Okay. What are some promises you've made in the past that you wish you hadn't? And then maybe why? What was the outcome of that promise? What made you regret making that promise? Because there's promises we want to make and there's promises we probably don't want to make. And I want to understand those better. And then the third thing is promises are always to people. What makes someone promise worthy? What is your criteria for someone that you are willing to make a promise to? Conversely, what are some things that tell you that this person is not promise worthy? And that's going to tell me a lot about who it is you should be working with. So that's where I need your help. Help me understand how promises guide you, guide your business. So if you've got some answers, email me at tom@trstimson.com. Many of you already know how to reach out to me, but that's the way to do it. Just send me your thoughts or drop by my website and schedule a chat. I'd love to talk to you about promises. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. So in the months to come, I'm going to share more of this outline. You'll see it in blogs, you'll see it in podcasts, you'll see it in webinars. Be sure you're on my mailing list because some chapters might be dropping into things other than my podcast. So if you're new to me, new to the podcast, go to trstimson.com, subscribe, attend some of my webinars, but definitely get our Monday morning newsletter, which, oh, by the way, comes out in podcast form. So there we are. We've got a project. Let's work on it together. Thanks for listening. If you want to find out more about today's episode, go to trstimson.com/podcast, where you'll find the show notes, related links, and tons of other valuable resources. If you haven't already subscribed to the Intentional Success Podcast, please do so, and I'd greatly appreciate if you would rate and review the show. Also, if you think you might be a good fit to work together or want more information about the Stimson Group, I'd love to hear from you. Visit trstimson.com for more information.